Hello everyone. Today we're going to create a video on how to create an option strategy, how to use the strategy builder within GoCharting to create your FNO strategies, and how to analyze them using the payoff chart. Okay. So first of all, let's get to the basics here. Let's get started. So if we go to our home page, this is our home page, right? So you have to go to OptionDesk and then select India. By default, the Nifty will be chosen, but you have the ability to choose from Nifty to say Bank Nifty if you wish directly from here. Okay. So once I choose Bank Nifty, then you get the Bank Nifty option chain and you can start building your strategies on Bank Nifty. Okay. So depending on what you want, you can choose the underlying on the top and start working off it. So in order to create a strategy, I'm going to go to the payoff chart. Okay. This is how the payoff chart will look like when you start your process. So here, as you can see, it is written that there are two kinds of strategies that you can create on the payoff chart. One is called the custom strategy. Custom strategy is where you create your own strategy by selecting your legs or your positions. And then you have the predefined strategies where we have created certain pre-built strategies that you can directly apply on your portfolio. Okay. With that being said, let's go to the basics. People who are interested to know how did I get to the dark theme, here in the bottom there is a color theme chooser. You can choose whatever theme you wish. I like the dark theme, so I'm going ahead with that. Okay, so let's try and understand this panel a bit. So this is the payoff chart panel. On the top are the important metrics that you need to see once you have created your strategy. And here, this is the payoff chart, and then I'm going to start building the my strategy of it. Okay, so on the top, I've chosen virtual. So this is basically paper trading mode that I'm in. You can also do real trading by connecting to the broker and choosing real under this trading mode. Okay, so we will come to that in our second part of the video. In the first part, we are going to cover paper trading. So in the paper trading, I have virtual on the top. I'm going to start creating a custom strategy first. Okay, so click on custom strategy. This will open up a left-hand panel, as you can see. Now it says add the custom strategy. So I'm going to add a folder and call it, say, demo strategy. So this is the name of my strategy that I have given, and I'm going to apply it. So a folder is getting created here, as you can see on the left-hand side. And under this folder called demo strategy, I'm going to create my positions, okay, for analysis. So I'm going to click on add a leg. Once I add a leg, the option chain will spin up from the left hand side. Now let's try and understand this option chain a little bit more. We have call, we have strike, and we have put. Here in the orange, what you can see is basically the underlying price of Bank Nifty, 39,110. Okay. On the top, there is a small bar where you can see the expiries. So right now I'm on Wednesday. I'm looking at the expiry of tomorrow, which is going to expire in 1 day. So it's written 1D. Then you have a couple of other weeklies expiring in 8 days, 15 days, and then the monthlies. Okay. So this is how you can choose which expiry you wish to go to. Okay. And then the other thing that you can choose is what metric you want to see on this option chain, right? So right now for every strike price, I'm looking at the LTP or the last traded price. But here in the right hand side, there's a drop down using which you can choose which metric are you interested in tracking before you take a position. So by default, it is LTP, but I can choose something like OI or Delta. Some people I know basically trade based on Delta. So based on whatever you wish, you can choose from the left hand side. Okay. So now this is the basics. Let's get started. Let's start creating some positions here. Okay. So there are two kinds of asset classes, right? You can either add an option contract or you can add a futures to your strategy. Right now, we're going to start with options, right? Now, in order to add options, you just have to hover over whichever strike price you wish, and you will see these buy and sell buttons. So let's try and make for example, a straddle, right? Comprising of a call and a put, a long straddle. So I'm going to choose 39,400 as my strike price, and I'm going to click the buy button. The moment I click the buy button, you will see a basket appears with written demo strategy, which is the name of my strategy. Okay. And there I can see my first leg is created, but it's not yet finalized. It's still in an unsafe position. So I'm going to now add the other leg as well, which is the call. So I have two legs added. Now at this point in time, I can make a lot of modifications before I actually place it to my portfolio, my paper portfolio. Okay. So what are the modifications I can make? I can select or deselect any one of them. Okay. The moment you select and deselect, you can see these changes happen on the payoff chart, right? I can go from buy to sell, sell to buy. Okay. You will see all these changes happen real time. Okay. So let me go back to my buy mode. Okay. Okay. And then I can choose which expiry you want. I want the expiry on tomorrow's expiry, or the next weekly expiry, or the monthly. So I can choose from here. Okay. Based on this drop down, I can choose the size. Okay. So suppose right now it's 24 lots, which was my default. But if I want just one lot, I can just click here and change it to 1. Okay. So that becomes one lot, and the other one also I can do it. I can use the plus and minus buttons as well to bring them down, and you will start seeing these changes happen here. Okay. In the interest of time, I'm just going to go back and make this change manually. Okay. So now I have call and a put 39,400. If I wish to change that, if I want to move to 39,500, I can do that. I can click here and it becomes 39,500, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay. So now you see that 39,500 is where my marker is. Okay. So 39,500 is where my marker is. This is the strategy that I've created. These are my entry points. I can wish to change. I can change call to put, put to call, and then finally I go to paper trade. So once I click on paper trade, this gets added to my portfolio. Okay. Once it gets added to my portfolio, how do I view them? I will click on this back to positions button and it will open up my positions tab. Okay. So on the left hand side, I can see my positions. On the right hand side, I can see the payoff chart. Now, let's try and understand what do we have here. So we have the name of the strategy, demo strategy. If I wish to change it, there is a small hover button and I can make the change to the name. Okay. Demo strategy, GoCharting. Okay. So that will make the name of my folder. Basically, I can rename my folder here. Okay. So now by default, it will start showing the PNL. The entire PNL calculation will happen real time once you connect yourself to the broker. Okay. How do I connect myself to the broker? I can click on right hand side, and these are the brokers that we are connected to. You can choose your broker. The moment you connect yourself to the broker, this panel will become real time. Okay. Now, by default, it will update once every minute, but once you connect it to the broker, it will update every second, tick by tick. Okay. Now, if I wish, I can now deselect. Okay. So everything goes out and I can reselect. So once I do that, let's try and understand what are the things that we are looking at here. Okay. First, there is a panel. In this panel, you can see that all the positional Greeks are written down. So my delta, my gamma, my vega, my theta are appearing. Here, there are two buttons. One is close position. So if I want to close both the positions together, I can do that. Okay. And if I want to take a basket trade, so for example, like I mentioned, once you click to your broker, you should be able to also place real orders. So this basket trade will place the order automatically on both the legs at the same time to your broker. Okay. Now you are able to see underneath all the positions that you have taken. So there are two positions that I have taken right now. Okay. And when you hover over them, you have the ability to trade on them directly. Okay. So if you want to basically trade one position at a time, you should be able to do that through your broker. Okay. Then there is some analytics that you get to see here. And then you also have the ability to delete the position because it's a paper trade. You can delete your position. So if I wish, I can delete my position from here. Then on the right hand side, I can see the PNL of each of the legs, and the PNL of the strategy on the top is basically a summation of the PNL of each of the legs. Okay. Here in the bottom, I can see the time at which I entered or exited from the position. Okay. I can see my average entry price and the current LTP. Okay. Now here I can see a buy symbol, which is basically these are the two longs I have taken. And then there are some green marks, which is showing basically whether the position is, open or not. Green means it's an open position, and red means it's a close position. Okay, so let's try and understand how we can make some changes here on this view. Okay, suppose I want to go from buy to sell on a given leg. Okay, suppose, then I can reverse this position by clicking on this B button. Okay, so when I click on B, buy becomes sell and your payoff chart changes. Similarly, if I click on this close position, okay, it will directly close my current position. So when I click on close, enter the exit price. So if I put, say, an exit price of 500 and enter, that position will get closed and it will drop to the bottom and it will be in red in color. All right. Okay. Uh, With this being said, I can also click it again and it says sure to reopen the close position and it will reopen it again, bring it back to the same position that I was in earlier. Okay. So these are the few changes we can make currently in this particular view, and close position will basically this button will close both the positions at the same time. Okay, while this button will close one position at a time, the close position link will close both the positions at a time. Similarly, this trade button will place the order to your broker one position at a time. Basket order will trade all the positions at the same time at market price. Okay, as a market order. Now, if you want to further make more changes, there are a lot of adjustments that you want to make, then you can click on this edit mode and it will take you to this edit mode version where you can actually make a lot of other changes that we saw in the basket earlier. Okay, so for example, if I wish to go from 1 day to 8 day, I can do that. Okay, so right now what happened is my strike price and my entry price, everything changed because I have now chosen my entry price chose because I have chosen a new expiry, which is going to expire in 8 days. Okay, and I can bring it back to my old mode. Similarly, I can change the size. Okay, I can make a put, a call, a put. Okay, so you can do all of that. When you make these changes, the entry price will automatically take the latest strike LTP. Okay, similarly, I can change the strike price, which I've already shown, and you can delete your positions from here. So with this being said, now you are in a position to kind of not only add option contracts, but also repair or adjust them as you go along. Okay. With this being said, now let's take an understanding of what this payoff chart is doing and what these numbers on the top mean. Okay, so on the top, what we are seeing is the PNL, the total PNL of the strategy, the max profit, so the maximum profit that you can make using this strategy, maximum loss that is possible. Okay, so the maximum loss is minus 14,486, which is this point in the bottom. Let me remove the tooltip. Okay, now focus on this particular point that I am talking about. This particular point is where you can get your maximum loss of 14,486, and the maximum profit is infinity. Okay, then you have something called as the risk reward ratio, which is basically max profit by max loss. Then you have POP, which is basically the probability of profit. So it is the probability that the strategy will be in the money before the expiry. Then you have the premium. Okay, and then you have estimated margin. So for the estimated margin, again, you have to connect to your broker and the broker will provide you the estimated margin. Okay, and then you have what is called as the break-even point. So these are the two break-even points, as you can see. Okay, and you can also use this setting and click here. These are the two blue lines you see in the chart. They are the break-even points that you can see mentioned here. Okay, so we now understand how to create a basic strategy. Okay, now let's try and understand in the chart what we are seeing. Here in the bottom, we are seeing the underlying price. Okay, in the top, we are seeing the projected PNL. A projected PNL may be different from a PNL. A PNL is based on the real-time LTP of your individual positions, right? Individual legs. While projected PNL is basically using Black-Scholes method to project what your PNL could be if the market is priced efficiently. That means there is no extrinsic value of the contracts. It's all intrinsic. Okay. So normally this projected PNL will be different from your PNL. It is only for your, what if scenario analysis. But for your practical trading, the PNL on the left hand side is what is important, okay, or on your strategy. Now there are two lines you can see. One line, which is the curved line you see here, okay, which has the green and the red shades in it, is basically your PNL as of today. The sharp white line you can see here, the cone, this is basically your PNL at the expiry. So on the day of expiry, how your PNL is going to look like. Okay, so that's what it means. Now try and understand the x-axis. So there are the x-axis right now, or the horizontal axis is your strike price, and the vertical axis is on the right hand side is giving you your PNL. As you can see, this drop down PNL. On the left hand side, you have the ability to choose a number of metric that you can see. Okay, so I can choose, for example, say delta. Okay, now this is giving me my positional delta, okay, as the underlying price change. So it is a what if analysis of your positional delta if the underlying price changes from say 38,000 to 50,000 to 40,000. How is it going to change? This is your underlying curve of your delta, which is yellow in color. Let's look at some of the others. This is your vega. Okay, we all know vega is like a normal distribution. This is your theta. Okay, and this is your RHO. So the normal platforms will only give your positional Greeks at the point where the underlying is, which is at 39,110. GoCharting also gives you the ability to look at these Greeks, positional Greeks, and how they will change over strike price. So every time the underlying price changes, how is it going to shape going forward or backward? Okay. So we have looked at some of the important metrics on the left hand side and the PNL on the right hand side. Then from here on the settings, I can also look at something called as markers, which is basically nothing but the two positions that I have taken. Okay, so I have taken, as you can see, a put and a call, and I can see them here directly on the chart. Okay, so this is basically we have taken buy, that is why they are green in color. If I make any one of them as sell, let's try and do that. Okay, so let's make one of them as sell. You can see that the marker will turn to red and upside down. This is basically sell. P means put, C means call. So basically you are looking at all the legs that you have taken directly on the payoff chart. Let me change it back. You also have the ability to change your strike price directly from the chart. Okay, so if I wish to change, I can make this change, and you can see here, okay, from 39,500 it has now gone to 39,900. So my put is now at 39,900. It's no longer a perfect straddle, more like a strangle. Okay, so this is also something that you can do. Now there is something called the hover tooltip. The hover tooltip will basically hover over the chart and will keep showing you the on target date, which is nothing but today. Okay, your expiry, and something called as what is your PNL on expiry and what is your PNL if we were to do a what if analysis, which we'll be doing in a moment now. Okay, so now we have covered pretty much everything. We have covered, so these purple lines are showing you your first standard deviation. Then the yellow ones are your second standard deviation, and the break even are in blue color. Okay. So these are some of the other settings that you can go through them. Okay. Now that we understand how to place an order, right? Now let's try and understand if I were to add a futures, how would I do it, right? So in case of futures, you can again go to add position, but this time instead of clicking on these strike prices, I'm going to click directly on this yellow box, which is says add for underlying. So once I click here, a panel will appear. Here I can choose which expiry future I want. Suppose I want the November future. Okay, so I can click November and put buy or sell. Once I do that, the whole PNL will change, and you can see a third position has come up, which is called underlying as U. Okay, I can go back to my position panel, and you can see that a new panel is created, and it is right now under basket. Okay, but I'm going to put it under demo strategy. Okay, I'm going to put it under demo and paper trade. Okay, so now I can see all my three positions, one under the other, under my demo strategy. Okay, so the futures will also have a F symbol on it so that you can understand whether it's an underlying or an option contract. Okay, so that's how simple it is to create your futures and options and how to close your position. Like I said, you can just click on close position and enter, and it will close the position, right? It turns into red in color. Okay. Now that we have understood this basics, okay, now let's look at something called as what if analysis. Okay, what if analysis is a panel that will allow me to look at how my PNL will change with changing volatility, time decay, and underlying. Clear? Now, for the purpose of this demo, what I'm going to do is instead of 1 day, I'm going to choose 8-day expiries. Okay, so that I can show you the time decay change. Okay, so this is my current portfolio, right, comprising of 3 positions. Let's get rid of the futures for now. I'm going to click here and delete. So the futures is gone. Okay, I'm left with only a call and a put at 39,900 and 39,500 with 8 days in expiry. So the first what if analysis will tell me as time goes by how time decay will impact my portfolio PNL. So once I click here, you can see a new blue line appearing. You can see this new blue line appearing along with the curved and the cone shape line, the white color line. So this blue line is your what if analysis, which is showing as time goes by how the PNL will keep changing for me. Okay. Similarly, if I were to use volatility as a measure, so I can see now with changing volatility how the PNL is going to shape for me. Okay. And you can also use the underlying spot change to see how with change in spot price, how your PNL is going to get impacted. So these are the 3 parameters using which you can do a what if analysis. And then there is another button called show Greeks, which will show you the Greeks, positional Greeks as of date in decimal and in INR format. Okay, so this kind of covers the basics of how to create your paper positions in the payoff channel, payoff chart panel in GoCharting OptionDesk. In the next series, we are going to concentrate on how to place the orders directly through your broker. All right, thank you everyone. Thank you for your time.